Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys Board Gaming Podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're coming to you with another episode of our board gaming podcast that is sponsored by Greyfox Games. Let's dive right into what we've been playing, since that's what we start the show with these days, and since at least some of us have played games again.
It's probably been a year. It's probably been a year that we've been doing that, so it's not like these days.
Yeah, no, it was fairly early into the digital recording that we switched to that. And I think we have. No, we were still doing game night a year ago, so I don't think we were remote recording yet. So we hadn't quite switched. So it hasn't quite been a year, but it's close.
If it was next week, probably wouldn't be doing game night for a year.
Yeah, I think roughly a year ago, because it was Strange was the last game night we did, and that's the first week of March. So we are now out of the first week of March, so game night
second week of
on
March?
its way out.
Debo, first.
Huh?
You said Strange was the first week of March. It is not the first week of March. It is
That's
the second
right,
week
it
of
is
March.
default.
So
maybe
March
we did 2 weeks in March.
11th.
I can't remember.
Would have been.
I think that's right.
Yes. And I was sick that week and didn't go.
The fool.
Sucker.
Yeah. How dare I not go? Hey, guys, I'm sick. I'm not going to game night. What an idiot.
But yeah, and also since we took a week off, we should all have games to talk about, right? Everyone, right?
Uh-huh.
The silence is deafening.
Well, I mean, from one of us.
Yeah, well, no, we should. We should all have games to play. You're correct.
Jeff, how about you start? What have you been playing?
Doing some solo gaming. I played a solo game of Dune Imperium while also checking out their new 3 and 4 player only digital expansion.
Okay.
Because Direwolf Digital has the app, their Direwolf like game room Direwolf game room, and like they have a thing for Clank in there, and Raiders of the North Sea. There's like a root thing in there, but I think the root thing is in there because the app was made by Direwolf, which would make sense.
Yeah, okay.
I
buy that.
Yeah. But yeah, Dune is still a lot of fun. I'm glad I own that game because apparently it was hard to find for a while, and the AI is a little different. You can play physically with what's in the app because it comes with the deck of cards that it's basically just doing for your two rivals. The House Hagal, which isn't in the game, but I don't know, it's sort of just. It's hard to explain without showing you what all the cards are, but basically there's a top and a bottom like Dune Imperium, where you're like choosing which ones to do, and then like the bottom is combat, and the top can be different things like recruiting a troop and deploy it to the combat, deploy up to 2 more troops from the garrison to the conflict, activate the rival signet ability, etc., etc. But what I really wanted to check out was the Iraqian Scouts, which is a new mode for 3 and 4 player. And you can get like it's like a mini digital expansion. There's like subcommittees. There's 4 of them. They're basically 4 one-time only buffs, like the Appropriations Committee, the Oversight, Political Affairs, Relations, but they're like one-time use bonuses. So if you choose Appropriations, no one else can choose Appropriations, but all Appropriations does is give you a spice. Political Affairs, spend 4 spice for 2 reputation with one faction. Spend Relations, spend 2 spice for 1 faction rep spend money to trash a card. Each of those can only be chosen once, but there's also like 4 others. There's missions, events, auctions, and sales. They're not like the missions. It seems pretty complicated for just what they're doing in an app. Like, each player may move 1 troop from their garrison to this selective breeding space, placing 2 money underneath the troop. The first time each player sends an agent to that space, in addition to the normal effect of the space, they can take the money with their troop, and the troop is immediately deployed to the conflict. So you have to put it on a space. I guess it's just sort of making spaces more desirable. Other things like auctions, you can spend like up to 3 spice. Then you put that many troops into the conflict. A player who bids the least amount of spice may retreat any of those troops to their garrison. So I guess it's just an extra way to get spice use, more use for spice, to get more troops. The like events are just like each player may discard a card to draw a card. Like, they're just sort of things that happen around rounds. Not all of them are beneficial, though. Like, you can lose water or lose a reputation with one of the factions, which could be beneficial because one of those tracks, when you hit it again, you get the benefit again. So, it's just sort of like, here's some more ideas we had with Dune, but we didn't actually put into the game. Except now we did with this app.
Okay.
They're not bad ideas, but it's sort of just like...
ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's Dune. Yeah.
And you said you could do it in 3, you can use that with 3 or 4 people, right?
Only 3 or 4.
So 1 or 3 or 4?
No, not 1. I just played a solo game without them.
Oh.
And then,
Gotcha.
And
okay.
then I looked at what all the addition was to this. I mean, it's totally free. It's just on their free app, so it's not like it costs anyone anything to try it out. It just adds another 5 layers onto the game. They sort of just feel like mini modules, you know. But
Gotcha.
I guess if you want a little more with your Dune. I've been assembling a lot of 40k miniatures, because I have bought a lot of 40k miniatures. I bought Kill Team.
I guess that's almost a game in and of itself.
Yes, it is very much a game. I bought Kill Team a month or so ago. I came with some Tau and Space Marines, but it's a whole new game system that you use much, much smaller squads. It's like skirmish combat. It has been extremely popular, and I think that's what kind of helped revitalize a lot of 40k in a lot of people's minds. They came out with a new expansion, the Pariah Nexus. I guess it's their first, like, or at least that I've seen, like, a big box expansion. It adds a new rule set for, like, close quarters combat. It actually comes with a board that you play on with a bunch of terrain and stuff like that, and it's supposed to have, like, a rule set for, like, very close corners, close quarters, hallways, corners, combat type stuff. And it comes with minis, of course. It comes with some Space Marines and some Necrons. With that Indominus box, I basically have a whole Necron army, so why not? Picked up the Dark Angels Combat Patrol and the Codex Supplement, so now I can play Dark Angels. Especially since I brought all that stuff back. So yeah, I've just been sort of assembling those together. I did the Pariah Nexus Space Marines. They're Heavy Intercessors, which is just the name of the new Primaris Space Marine Tactical Squad, but they're in, like, heavier armor. Which is nuts, because their armor next to, like, a Terminator, it's just like, they're wearing, it's just, They're as big as goddamn Terminators now. The scale for this game is crazy now because they have the new, bigger Space Marines, but the old Space Marines are still canonically in there. They're like the Firstborn versus the Primaris, but they look like little baby Space Marines compared to the new ones. It's nuts. Which makes you want to get like all the new stuff and like fuck all my old stuff. But you can still play with it. So they have some like better guns or something. Yeah. So that's. I think I said something else. What else did I say, Zach? What else did I play?
It was Finding Nemo, I believe it was.
Yeah, Nemo's War. Finding Nemo's War. I had picked that second edition up at the Wizard's Chest a couple months ago and was like, I got solo gaming time, so I started trying to learn how to solo play this game. It's got fantastic components. I'm not sure Adrian ever actually went in on that late pledge.
No, I didn't. I was considering it for a while, but I've got other things I want to spend my money on right now.
Like paying off your split board.
It's completely paid off.
Okay.
I don't fuck around with credit. Everything I buy,
Or does credit not fuck around with you?
Money. I wouldn't know. I've literally never had a credit card.
Wow.
I have never applied for one. I've never wanted one. So, yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's good that you have Megan there for when you need the house and all that stuff.
Correct.
So Nemo's War.
My credit rating is decent. I could probably get a credit card if I wanted one. I just don't trust myself to have access to money that I don't have.
Fair enough.
So I don't get one.
No, that makes sense. It's just unfortunate that our system, a lot of our system is, oh, you don't have credit? Well, we don't trust you with credit.
Yes, very much so.
Anyways, Nemo's War. So you have to like prep a draw pile. There's 3 acts, and then a finale, which can happen like somewhere in the bottom 5 cards. You set up the board with your various like hidden ship markers, and like it's a whole world map because you're 20,000 leagues under the sea. That is not 20,000 leagues in depth, but is how far you are traveling while underwater. Because 20,000 leagues would be
getting real deep,
extremely not possible in depth. But
look, you start digging in that rocks, that's still underneath the sea, so it still counts.
That's true,
right?
That's
true.
true.
You just slap a big old drill on the tip of the Nautilus,
and then you eventually get into a lake of lava and stuff like that, and then you're back in a fluid, just slowly getting crushed to death by the immense pressure.
That'd be.
And then
that's 69,000 miles, by the way.
Yeah. And then you go all the way down. Side. Yeah, come to the other side, and then you start going into space.
Okay, the Earth is only like less than 8,000 miles. So.
Like we said, you go through the Earth, and then you go out the other side, and then you're space. You're underneath the other side of the Earth. So it all makes sense. The science checks out, Jeff. I don't know what you're trying to say.
Zach did the math.
Yeah.
Which is why we don't trust him with math.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
You aren't paying me for it, then I don't have to double check.
It's true. It's true. Trust but verify.
Yep.
There's a lot to this fucking game, and I spent most of my time just trying to learn how to set it up. Like, there's motive tiles, like, is Nemo, like, out for science? Is he out for war? Is he out for exploration? Is he out for anti-imperialism? And your, like, scenarios will be affected by that. The components are all great quality. The cards are great. Some unique tokens for, like, the trackers on the boards, which were cool. A lot of fun crystals. components. I mean, the game, like they're treasure available gemstones. There's just so much of this game, and I think I need to just watch a video on it now, because I tried to learn it out of the rulebook, because I was like, it's a solo game, couldn't only be so hard. I was correct. It was only so difficult to where I stopped trying to learn to play it. And then I went back to purchasing more board games, which I now own all of the West Kingdom series. I backed it, and just so happened when I was doing that, the Paladins expansion Kickstarter was happening, so I backed that because I was like, yeah, why not? Because you could get the metal coins with the Kickstarter, which I was like, hell yeah. Because remember, those metal coins in Raiders were real nice.
Yep.
I have Journeys in Middle Earth now. And, I saw a good deal on Memoir 44, and I picked that up too.
Nice.
Yeah. So I got a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah, you do.
Mostly building Space Marines.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Right on. Zach, I assume that you didn't actually play anything based on your response earlier.
I bought a PS5 last week, man. I was busy doing other shit.
All right, so we'll come back to that during banter. we'll come full circle. I actually did play a couple board games. I feel like I had actually played something 2 weeks ago before our last episode that we canceled last minute. But I don't remember what it was. But then Megan and I went and spent my birthday in a small cabin, way out in the middle of nowhere that didn't have Wi-Fi or anything. So we did a lot of sitting by the fire and reading, sitting on the porch during like the afternoon when the sun was out and it was nice, and reading, and also played 2 board games. So the first game we played was a 2-player game of Concordia. Neither of us had played Concordia at 2 players before. We played on the Italy map that's on the back of the main board there. And she destroyed me. It really wasn't even remotely close. I had a good first move, and then that was about it. I did the first move, and she's like, "Damn it, that's what I wanted to do."
How could you ever recover from this?
And yeah, she went ham on me. Ended up winning. She won like 168 to 108, I think, something like that. Way more than 50% of my score. And yeah, she just was no wasted moves on her part. Like everything she did well and planned well. I had one move where I did I'm drawing a blank on what the names of the cards are, but I think it's like the console or something, but where you can take a resource from a region. And I had the card that lets me get double the resources, and I took from a region, and then I realized that it actually would have been totally better to take from a different region where I would have gotten the one resource I needed and some other resources, and she wouldn't let me mulligan that. And then there was another turn where I was like kind of stalling, and I was like waiting for her to play a specific card so that I could play my like copy your opponent's card and do that action. And then she gets to the end of her hand of cards, and turns out she had already played that, and I had somehow not realized she had played it that turn. And so I was like, oh, so all this time I was kind of like stalling, setting up to do that. I couldn't, and now shit. So yeah, it did not go well for me. She ended up with more of the cards from the purchasing row, and since your cards determine your endgame scoring, having more cards is almost always going to be better. And yeah, she ran away with it. She was very pleased with herself.
I bet.
Yeah.
She used every part of the buffalo in winning that game.
Correct. So then, the following evening, we decided to take a step away from competitive, like directly competitive, like Concordia, and so we pulled out semi-cooperative game. We played Fog of Love, which we played Zach's copy because it's been here at the house, and if Zach's going to leave his games at the house for so long, then I'm eventually going to just be like, I feel comfortable playing this game, which is what happened here. You guys actually streamed it a while back here in the studio.
Last Valentine's Day?
Yeah, that seems about right.
Yeah.
Yep. So a little over a year ago. And then it's been just sitting at my house. And so I spent a bit of time going back through and setting it back up to where you could do the tutorial where it just teaches you to play as you play, which we both liked. I thought it actually worked really well. And it wasn't too difficult to reset things up.
Right? Yeah. No, it has a really good tutorial thing that makes you feel like you're actually playing it while still learning.
Yep. The only thing is if you were teaching, and I guess at some point if you've played it a few times, you could probably comfortably teach it to someone else. That's really good for the first time it's opened.
Yeah.
But because of the way you do set it up, it's always the same cards. So I would always end up getting the same cards. If Megan and I played again and she was the first player and I was the second player, I would always end up with the exact same cards. I might do slightly different things with them.
Mm-hmm.
But that tutorial would eventually kind of lose its luster in that regard.
Oh yeah, no. They say that's definitely why it's there as the beginner one, and then you just go on to a different scenario that are more complete and let you have that replayability.
Yeah, and you could, if you took out the tutorial stuff and you just shuffled, you could play that intro scenario still really easily, and it'd be completely different. Just the tutorial will always more or less play out the same.
Yes,
yeah. But we really liked it. We ended up staying together, but neither one of us accomplished our goals. We had the same goal, but we fell short in that I only achieved one of my two ideals. So because we had the equal partnership or something like that, so our happiness score had to be within 3, and then we both had to be over 20. And Megan was 25 and I was 18 at the end, because I only achieved one of my ideals where she got all 3 of her ideals.
Gotcha.
So we really enjoyed it. We leaned hard into the role-playing stuff. So I was Jonathan, a loud-mouthed or big-voiced or something, I don't remember, something like that, advertising agent with an intricate nose ring. And she was Jennifer, a real estate, or no, not a real estate agent, a wedding planner. And just really leaned into all of that. And she leaned into her traits too. So apparently one of her traits was that she was jealous. So she kept playing cards based on her being a jealous person, which added a whole new level of things, because it made it seem like she was actively sabotaging the relationship. So at one point I played a card that was you can name the aspect of one of their ideals, and if it's correct they have to pick a new one. And so I was like, I think you're insincere. And she was like, what? You think I'm insincere? Got all offended. It was great. We had a bunch of fun with it.
Nice.
We were going to play another one. We wanted to play another game of it. But just the way our timing worked out on the trip, we didn't have a chance to. And then once we got back here to Colorado, or back to Denver, back to the house, we decided to go be Vikings in Valheim. So that was the end of the board gaming for the weekend. I really enjoyed both games. Concordia at 2 players was tight. Using the Prefect Magnus card lets you double that Prefect action where you get the resource. That is huge in 2-player, because every single time you take the Prefect, you get double, but then the card goes to your opponent. So it moves so much more than it does in a single-player game, which I thought was really interesting. The tighter map was really cool. And then we had just kind of a bizarre, the way the resources came out was just kind of ended up bizarre and led to some interesting decisions on the map. And then Fog of Love was a bunch of fun. I really liked this kind of semi-cooperative. I felt in some ways it really did a good job of mirroring the romantic comedy / even almost like a real relationship, like not knowing what your partner, is really going for and kind of having to just trust them, while not knowing if they're like up to no good or something, and like just kind of some of that stuff. And like it's easy to read more into something simple than you maybe should. I don't know. We had a lot of fun with it. We really enjoyed it. I think it's a cool system, and would like to play more. So that's what I played.
And I want to say that the base game came with 3 additional scenarios after that one, and then I think I bought 3 more.
2.
Well, okay, well I have a third one that it's here, I guess.
Okay.
Or I didn't buy it. I didn't buy it because they didn't have it at that point, but I need to get it at some point. But yeah.
Yes, there are. So there are opened 2 of the ones that came in 2 of the 3 that came in it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the 3 is not opened, and then there were 2 unopened expansions in there.
Okay, all right.
So, but yeah, we really enjoyed it. So thank you, Zach, for leaving that so that we were able to play it on my birthday weekend getaway.
No problem. I unfortunately don't remember much from the one that Jeff and I played. But I remember the tutorial that I played with Paul, and what I remember from that is
Geekway, right?
Yeah, Geekway, and all I remember is that my character's name was Sharon, and she kept it tight. She was a narcissistic, like, political worker or something like that, and I just remember she kept it tight.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, right on. I think that wraps up what we've been playing board game wise, so we can move over into some banter so that Zach can talk about his PS5.
Mm-hmm.
I can talk about snowboarding and other video games, and Jeff can talk about, I'm sure, some video games and who knows what else. So, Zach, how about you start and dive in? How is the PS5?
It is good. So a funny thing happened before I even got it. It was supposed to be, when I got it from GameStop, they're like, the estimated release date of that bundle that I got was like March 5th. And as you can tell, that was 4 days ago? 3 days ago even? But they shipped it to me basically a week early, so I was not looking for it at all. And the address was 2 digits off. So it actually went to a house 2 doors down a week earlier than I was expecting it to.
Yay!
Yay! But luckily, there was a good neighbor. I guess like the people I rent the basement from, like she like watches their cat or whatever when they're out of town. So like there's already a relationship with this house and that house. And so I got a call Monday morning from a number I didn't know, and it was just like, "Hey, is this Zach? I live over at blah blah blah, and I have something here from GameStop." And I was like, "Why the fuck is this here 5 days early?"
The real question is, why did it get delivered to an address 2 doors down?
That's because afterwards, when I looked at the, you know what? We don't need to go into it.
No, I think we should. I'm unaware, but I have a sense that we should get into this.
Well, it's always nice to leave people wanting. So, no, yeah, I had basically transposed some numbers, and I was like, whoops. Well, that was definitely my bad. Thank God everything worked out all right. But I got it. I hooked it up. I played Astro's Playroom, which is a better demo. Like it's basically just a glorified demo game, but it is better than it has any right to be. And boy, does it show you how fucking cool those controllers are.
It's packing. That's why they do it.
Yeah, exactly. The haptic feedbacks on the triggers is real cool, especially whenever you pull a gun out. The couple times you're able to get a gun out, you're like, oh, that feels real nice. The like next generation rumble it has inside of it, you can really tell, and all like tied with the little speaker that it has in the controller, like when you're walking on sand versus like metal versus wood, you can tell a difference. And it was just really, really cool to see. But then I spent the rest of my time basically playing PS4 games that I've been meaning to catch up on. The bundle I got had Spider-Man Miles Morales in it, but it also had a remastered Spider-Man, which
the Ultimate Edition of Miles Morales.
Yes. Thank you, because there's a launch that's just the base one. Yeah, the Ultimate one has the remastered Spider-Man.
It's like $50 for the Miles Morales.
Yeah.
You can't, and it's like $50 for the remastered, $40 for the remastered. So
can you even buy it now? Because I remember at launch okay.
Digital?
Yeah, no, that's right. You can upgrade to it or whatever.
Yeah.
But this one also. So this one is remastered, like Miles Morales is, or
4K,
whatever. Yeah,
60 frames per second.
Yeah, but then it comes with like all the DLC from the first game, which I hadn't played, so that was one reason why I wanted to replay the remastered. And man, I can definitely see the struggle of like you switch on that fidelity mode and you're like, oh boy, that's a pretty game, and then you switch on that 60 FPS mode and you're like, oh, that's real pretty in a different way.
This is real smooth.
Yeah, but then luckily they made a compromise mode that's basically 60 FPS with some ray tracing in it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, well, this is what I'm going to do now. Because it doesn't look as pretty as just base fidelity mode, but it looks better than the base one, and that it's especially when you're swinging around in the city, doing it in 60 FPS is just real nice. And that game continues to be one of, if not the only open world game where I never fast travel. Because it's just like, well, I'd rather
I forgot there was fast travel for most of that game.
And then when you do it on the PS5, you literally, like, it fades out and then it fades back in and you're there.
You don't even get the sweet subway load screen because it's so fast.
It's so fast, yeah. It's crazy. I have a feeling it looks better than it did on the PS4, but, not remarkably so. Because
I'm sure there's videos online of comparisons.
Well, and also you got to remember too, Peter Parker looks different because they decided to change him, it was always like, wait, why'd they do that? And then after like 30 minutes, I'm like, oh yeah, this is what Peter Parker looks like.
I think it was some reason they wanted the look of the character to sound, or
it wanted to look more like the voice actor, from what I've heard.
Yeah, to make the voice match the face better or something like that. But also they just wanted him to look like Tom Holland more.
Yes, which.
But I did also think that Peter Parker looked weird in that first game. It was mostly the hair.
Yes,
hair was
yeah. Hair looks
floofy.
Yes, it was. Yeah, floofy. Yeah. But so I'm about halfway through that, and then I got to get through the DLC, and then I can start Miles Morales. Mm-hmm. But then I also because, if you remember, my the starting incident of me looking for a PS5 again was because Ratchet and Clank: A Rift Apart was announced for June, and I was like, well, I need to have a PS5 before then. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
So that I can play that game immediately. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and download the PS4 version that I had, and to see if they had any upgrades like Ghost of Tsushima does, or like The Last of Us does. This one, it doesn't. It looks exactly like it did before, and that also means that it's locked at 30 FPS. And going from Spider-Man to that, I was like, whew, this is a little rough. Now, it's still real good, but like the first couple times I move the camera, it's like, oh, that's a big pan.
You get to feel every inch of the camera move.
Yeah. It's like fucking motion blur. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's still a real good game. But I had looked it up. Why wasn't there like a patch or anything like that to help it for the 5 or for the PS5? And it seems like the reason it wasn't is because this one, some of its game mechanics were actually like tied to the frame rate. So if you made the frame rate go faster, it would start messing with other things. I remember we were talking about that on Saturday when we were getting fried chicken.
A lot of racing games, the clock in the game is tied to the frame rate. So if you make the frame rate go faster, the game just runs faster.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it was something along that lines, or just it played with some of the weapons in some weird way that they're just like, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's still very, very playable. It just was noticeable after playing the Spider-Man 5 or Spider-Man on the PS5. So, but that's basically I've been doing that in work. I know you guys got what was the game called, Loop Hero or something like that?
Yes.
You've been playing. I'd been meaning to try it out, but every single time I'm like, I have to turn on my computer, or I could just continue to play my PS5. So we'll just do that.
Yeah. I've been playing Loop Hero. It's kind of taken over lately. I have about 12 hours into Loop Hero already. It's kind of like an auto battler where you just sort of have slightly roguelike like base building in it, that the base gives you different classes and unlocks new abilities and new tiles that you put down in the world, because the world is basically blank because the world has been destroyed, and you're trying to rebuild the world, and there's kind of a story to it. You sort of just kind of go in loops until you either die or you quit to take your loot back, because if you don't and you die with it, you lose like 90% of your loot or something like that. But if you make it back to your camp, you can get all of it. So, and you're unlocking bosses by putting more stuff down, and then those pieces interact with each other. Like if you put certain things next to other things, they'll transform and give you special resources and spawn special monsters that you need to kill for more resources. It's got a good gameplay loop to it. It is not early access, but there seems like there's stuff that's just not there. Like on the equipment screen, there's these 2 equipment slots that none of the classes use, as far as I've seen, and I don't know why those are there, unless they're for some other class that's not in the game yet, or something that was planned and not taken out. I don't know either. But it's a ton of fun. It's great. It looks great. It's very cool.
Right on.
And then I've been watching movies. I watched Black Dynamite, mostly while I'm building miniatures. I watched MacGruber. I watched Black Dynamite. I watched I, Tonya,
Nice.
which I had not seen before.
It was okay.
I
watched it a while ago.
Yeah. I liked it. Dread, I watched.
Fantastic movie.
Yeah.
Unless you're Paul, apparently.
Unless you're Paul, our ex-friend.
Yep.
Wait, Paul doesn't like
he likes
like the
He said the first Dread, Judge Dredd, was better than Dread, like with a straight face. And then when we all just decided to ignore him, he was shocked that we all had that opinion.
I mean, I will grant him that Judge Dredd is spectacular in its own right. But I don't know, man. I don't think I can say that Judge Dredd is better than Dredd.
No.
They're both amazing. Just for very different reasons.
Yes.
Sure, yeah.
But a 4K Steelbook series came out from Best Buy, which I picked up. It's got a lot of cool special features. So I watched it again because it's good.
Nice.
And then I realized that the Astartes YouTube series rips a lot of its music straight out of Dread.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
That seems about right.
Yeah. I was like, that music sounds familiar. Where have I heard that music before? Oh, it's from Astartes.
Has he done any progress on the next part?
On his Patreon, there's been a whole bunch of updates and stuff like that, but he hasn't released anything. I mean,
yeah,
it was years between each of those parts. So.
Well, and especially the last one was like there were like a minute, 2 minutes, and then like 7 minutes, and it's like, oh, okay,
yeah. And that last part was real good too. So
yeah.
But he's making a lot of money off his Patreon, so
I'd hope so.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw the new Disney movie this weekend.
I watched
Raya.
that as well. Yes,
I'm jealous of both of you.
it was good.
It was good. Moana's still my favorite out of all of those. But I enjoyed it. The ending was a little. Animation.
Whatever the story was.
Yeah,
the
story
animation
was the story.
was extremely good.
Yes. Oh Jesus, yeah. There were definitely some times where it's just like did that like self whistle to yourself occasionally when he's just like, oh man, that looks real good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I even liked the little 2D part they did.
Yes.
For like the 45 seconds or 15 seconds or whatever it was.
Yeah,
that even looked real good.
That did look real good. But once again, just like when I was watching Soul, I was like, oh, man, I wish I could have watched this in a movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you can right now.
You can? Yeah, I could.
You could.
I could, but
you could.
Let's just not do it for a whole year, and then probably a month or so until vaccine. Fuck it, we'll just do it right at the end.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was looking at the Alamo the other day when you had posted that, and I guess they're gonna do a Lord of the Rings like cast reunion Q&A thing.
Okay.
But I think it's probably just like a recasted.
Oh yeah, like they did
rebroadcast with what was it? Logan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. When we saw Logan Noir, they did
the black. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it was live for the first showing, and it wasn't live for the second show.
Correct.
Yeah. But they're doing 4K showings of all the Lord of the Rings movies.
Damn.
So.
Are they doing the extended or the regular?
The 4K extended is coming out later this year.
Okay.
But the 4K regular is out now.
Gotcha. Well, they'll have to do multiple theaters if they want to do more than a couple showings a day because there just isn't enough hours.
No, I would assume that would be like a 1 day thing, and that's it. I don't know. Well, I guess the 4K ones they're showing over multiple days, so. I mean, it's only 208 minutes for the first movie. I don't know which one I would watch. Would I just watch Return of the King again? Would I watch Fellowship again?
I don't remember the last time I watched any of the Lord of the Rings movies. It's been a little while.
They apparently did some work on the 4K releases, so
that's good.
Cool.
Because I've definitely heard like some movies when you up-res it to 4K, it just doesn't. Sometimes it just doesn't look good.
I want to say when they were first shooting, they were shooting on film, and then they switched to digital. So some of it was film, some of it was digital.
Gotcha.
Because it was like 2099, 2000 when they were shooting.
Yeah. And that's right around when they
were swapping over.
Yeah.
Or you could do like The Room and film it on both at the same time. That is legendarily, he was just like, no, I want to shoot it on both. And that's why The Room is great.
Anyhow, on that note, let's see, what do I want to talk about next first?
Did you finish WandaVision?
No.
Okay, all right.
I do still have to watch. I think I only have the finale. I did catch up on it because I was like 2 episodes behind the last time I recorded, and I watched I was an episode behind. I don't know. I watched 2 episodes.
Okay. Since
the last time where I was like, I haven't really kept up. Then I watched 2 episodes, and I know I still have the finale left to go. Because I was chatting about him in the Slack channel. That's right. Because I was like, yeah, this one's not really doing it for me for like the 3rd to last, I think. And Paul was like, yeah, the next one was the first one I liked. And I watched that one. I was like, this one was even worse. So for me, for me, it has definitely been like, a nice smooth curve with like the peak in the center and the outliers on the ends, and that kind of a curve plots my enjoyment of the series so far. We'll see what the finale does. Maybe there'll be a large uptick at the very end, but I'm not super sure about that. And it's tough because like I love the cast, like, and I like a lot of the acting in it. It's one of those where like sometimes things are greater than the sum of their parts, and I feel like this is somehow just worse than the sum of its parts.
And some people wish it was more than the sum of its parts in improbable ways.
What?
There was an article that someone posted.
The Collider one?
The what? Oh, yeah, from Collider. Yeah. It's like, how dare WandaVision not make demands, or not meet my demands that they never promised, or something like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm super bummed that WandaVision's like 8 episodes, however many it is.
9.
9.
But then like all of the other ones are going to be like 6, like Falcon and the Winter Soldier and
Loki.
What's the other one? Loki, yeah. Are only going to be 6 episodes. Like that's barely a full movie's worth of time.
I don't know what the length of those are going to be.
WandaVision was fairly short, like 20 minutes or so per episode.
Until near the end, yeah. Whereas these ones may be longer, who's to say? But also, I have a feeling these, especially Falcon and the Winter Soldier, is going to be a lot more of a traditional like MCU sort of property, so that probably doesn't need to be as long.
Says you.
It says me, yeah. I mean, I'm probably gonna. I mean, I enjoyed this, and I know I'm gonna enjoy. I hopefully will enjoy the Falcon and Winter Soldier as well. Especially with Baron Zemo coming again.
Yeah.
And then, but Loki, like I don't know what that's gonna be. Like I feel like I sort of have an idea of what the Falcon's gonna be.
Have you watched the Loki trailer?
I mean, I do. I have, but I try not to. I try and get it more for like what the atmosphere is going to be, more than trying to like glean plot details. Because but I know how we last left Loki. So yeah, but I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to them both.
And originally, Falcon and the Winter Soldier was supposed to be first.
Yes, technically, this one was
correct.
Like the WandaVision was going to be like third, right? I think it was like.
I think so, yeah.
And then also a couple movies would have come out as well.
Yeah.
Black Widow. I
Yep.
think the Eternals as well. So it just so happened that WandaVision was the one least affected by COVID.
Yeah,
So,
and then was the one that had to come, as the first thing after COVID.
Exactly.
After a long, long drought of no Marvel content.
Mm-hmm.
Because was Black Widow originally May?
Yeah, May of 2020, yeah.
Yeah. And now it's May of 2021?
Yes.
We'll see.
Indeed.
That movie's got to come out someday.
Sometime. I don't see
that.
I don't see them. I don't even see them unless they have to. Putting it on like the Premier Access, like Raya
The
was.
$30 thing. Yeah. Like, this movie needs to make millions of dollars.
Yeah. But yeah, so no, I have not finished that series. I'll probably do that maybe, I don't know, on Wednesday or something. We'll see. I finished Control, the main storyline. It was really good. And this is the most frustrating thing of all time for me. Not of all time, but it's frustrating. So I finished Control, and I was like, man, that was really good. I think I want to get the expansions. But I've been playing on the Xbox season pass, and I wasn't sure how that would work. And then I saw they were having a sale on the Ultimate Edition that upgraded it to like the Xbox Series X graphics and all this, and included like the expansions and all this stuff. And I was like, sweet, it's on sale. I'll buy that. And I bought it, and then I loaded it up to go play earlier today. And turns out your saves do not transfer.
Weird.
So I have to play through the entire game again.
That's super weird. That the Xbox version wouldn't transfer the save from the regular control to the Ultimate Edition control?
To the Ultimate Edition Series X version. So, and apparently it was the same thing with the
Were you playing on PC and then going to... It was all Xbox?
Yeah, I was playing all Xbox. Apparently it was the same thing with the PlayStation. If you got control on the PlayStation 4, even if you got the Control Ultimate Edition on the PS4, if you then upgraded to the PS5, you got a free upgrade to the PS5 version, but your saves did not transfer. Because apparently they did enough changes to the underlying code and game system for the Series X/PS5 versions that the saves do not transfer.
Huh.
Which is fucking annoying.
My Epic Game Store version save did not transfer over to the Steam version, so I know the feeling.
Yeah. So, it'll probably take me a little... I did start it back up, playing through the initial stuff, and it's like, oh my god, I forgot how much it sucks to, like, not have any powers. So I'll slowly work my way back through that, because I do want to get to some of the expansions, except for the fucking jukebox. The jukebox is dead to me.
The jukebox is a challenge mode. It's supposed to be incredibly difficult.
It's okay. I would have liked incredibly difficult. I don't like impossible.
Get good, scrub.
I have seen no evidence. Like, I cannot understand how it could get harder than what it is now, and yet there are 2 additional tiers from what I am on now. It does not make any fucking sense. Anyhow, so Control, really liked, finished, now going to be playing through on the new Series X version with the fucking sweet graphics. Played some Valheim when we got home from our trip, last night. Valheim continues to be really good.
How far in are you now?
We are still messing around in the swamps.
Gotcha.
So we're slowly building up gear and thinking about going to fight the... we have located where the third boss is. We are also thoroughly sick of sailing, because sailing inevitably ends with one of the 2 of us being killed mid-sail by Death Squeedos. They just fly out and murder you in this ship, and it's like, well, fuck. Apparently there's a Reddit group that's like Valheim Body Rescue Squad or something that you can get a hold of and get a couple super high-level people to drop into your world to escort you back to your body and fend you off from the Death Squeedos.
So something
while you recover your gear.
So something you can do, it's something that we started doing once we like had to start going on like big sailing things, especially one time where we had to go back. We had 4 people, and 3 in each trip. A different person died. So like we were trying to go get some iron in a swamp, and we ended up having to go back 4 times to keep having to go pick up people. And
Jesus.
And then also on the 3rd time we got there, when everybody was alive, we go, all right, now who's got the swamp key? Silence.
Oh no.
I had the swamp key, and then the game crashed, and it did an inventory rollback, because I remember I had thrown a bunch of trash out of my inventory just on the ground, and then when I came back in, I was like, oh, all this trash is still here, and so I threw it all out again, but I forgot to pick the key back up after doing that.
Yep. But so what we did is, in the ship, we had enough materials to build a gate, a portal, and then having a spare portal that at your main base that is only used for ship travel, basically. So you just go, like you park somewhere, you build a workbench, you build a portal, and then you can portal to there, and then you get your body, and then you destroy. This is assuming, of course, that somebody is there to build, but
yes.
And then you just destroy the portal, collect all the materials again, throw it back in the boat.
Yes, Megan and I do have a boat portal that Sits in the
Okay, good.
hold of our vessel. Yes. But yeah, so Valheim's good. Continues to be good. And then last thing that I'll talk about, and I'll make it kind of quick. So I went on vacation a little bit, because it was my birthday. And so Megan and I haven't skied at a resort, since roughly March. Like, it's been about a full year. Like, I think the last time we skied at a resort was when we went to Silverton for my birthday last year. Then COVID hit, and we haven't done any resort stuff, like, with lifts and big crowds. Like, Bluebird is technically a resort, but there's no lifts, and we don't interact with anybody except the one guy who scans our passes at the gate. So we decided, with her vaccinated and everything, and we kind of weighed our options and decided we were comfortable with going snowboarding. And so we rented a small cabin outside of Pagosa Springs. We drove down Thursday. We stayed there Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, then came back Sunday. We went snowboarding on Friday and Saturday. We had tickets for Sunday, but we were both so damn tired that we just didn't and came home straight instead. They didn't get a ton of snow. They got some snow Wednesday night and Thursday day while we were driving up. So that when we went Friday, their 24-hour snow total on Friday morning was like 12 inches. And we found great snow. And like everybody was like, oh, it's going to be so busy because it's spring break. Like all the things we kept seeing online when we were researching, it was like, oh, yeah, these are spring break. Like Wolf Creek gets so busy for spring break. So busy, so busy. We never once had to wait more than like 2 minutes. Not even 2 minutes, probably. We like 2 or 3 people in a lift line the whole weekend. Most of the weekend, we were able to ride down and directly to the chair on the lifts. And both days, we were finding a bunch of fresh powder in the trees that was almost completely untouched. So we had great riding. We did a ton of runs. Both of us were feeling really good on our boards. We really appreciated actually having lifts to get us to the top of the mountain instead of having to skin our way up. That was a pleasant...
that isn't track at all.
Pleasant change of pace. Like, we still appreciate... Like, we're really happy to, like, have the skills and knowledge now to do, like, some backcountry and skinning and all of that. And you can get into some really cool terrain that way. But it is also just really refreshing sometimes to be able to, get, like, I don't know. I think one of the days we got like 10 to 15 runs in, and you just don't get to do that when you do backcountry stuff. So, so much fun. Had a blast. Felt great on our boards. Had a really good time. And it was nice. And other than that, I already talked about the games we played in the cabin. Otherwise, we did a lot of reading. Had big fires in the fireplace in the evening. There was no internet. We had 4G service on our phones. But there was no like Wi-Fi or anything, no high-speed internet. And they had cable, like they had like DirecTV or something, but it was on a shitty little old TV, and something was wrong in the settings that I could not find in either the TV settings or the DirecTV settings, to where the picture was too large for the TV, so it was cutting off like all of the borders, which didn't always matter. But then like the little bit we tried to watch something, like, well, I don't remember what we were trying to watch, but it was bothering me so much. I was like, no, fuck this, I'm turning it off. This is horrible. It is not worth it. So we ended up, if it wasn't video games or reading, and eating, we did a lot of eating. It was just relaxing, which is great. Before we went down there, we stopped at a butcher shop here in Denver called something Sisters butcher shop. I drawn a blank on the name a little bit. But I got just under a pound of good ground beef from them, and then they had a 30-day dry-aged ribeye. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Yes, let's do it. And so I bought two of those, and we grilled those up Friday night, and they were amazing. Easily one of the best steaks I've ever eaten in my entire life. Plus, I made it myself, which is always refreshing. And yeah, other than that, it was a nice little birthday getaway weekend. So, there we go. I'm done. To the news and Kickstarter segment with no news.
Yes. Which means we go on to Kickstarter immediately. Which, first up in Kickstarter this week, we have Ragnarocks. Very well funded, $111,000 of its $20,000 goal, over 2,300 backers, but just about a week, a little less than a week to pledge this one, which you can, for its most popular pledge level, $45.
Yeah. So Ragnarok's right out the gate. We'll go ahead and give the disclaimer. This is the latest Kickstarter from our sponsors, Greyfox Games. It is a 2-player, kind of abstract thematic.
Hey, have you played Santorini?
Yeah.
It's similar to
it's
that.
going to be
Because
very similar to Santorini.
It's from the guy.
Same designer.
Yeah.
Yep, same designer. So, in Ragnarok's, you are 2 Vikings, who are competing to control this little island of land, with different regions in it. You have, so you're not Vikings, maybe? I don't know. You're like mythical heroes who are controlling Vikings. So just like in Santorini, you have a role card. So like you can be Odin or Heimdall or Freyr or Hugin and Munin. All kinds of different people and things from Viking mythology. And basically on your turn, you move one of your 3 Vikings as far in any direction as you want as far as you want to before you hit another figure or runestone. So other figures and runestones just block your movement. You can move as far as you want along that open space. Then wherever you place, wherever that Viking ends up, you place a runestone in any direction alongside it. And then as you slowly separate off your Vikings, like you're trying to use your runestones to basically make borders. And once all of the Vikings are separated into 6-ish different spaces, then the game ends and you score a point for each hex in your 3 Vikings territories. And so if that sounds kind of confusing, that's because I don't know how to super word it to make it clear. But
you're trying to wall off your opponents in as small a space as area while walling off your own in as large a space as possible.
Exactly. Yeah, and then there can in theory be wild areas, like the way, depending on how you wall things off, it ends up blocking off an area where there's no Vikings in it. And some of the different myth cards can actually get bonuses from that. Like, I think it was, let's see, who was it? Yeah, Freya. Score all wild regions in addition to your settled regions. So, if you're Freya, you might be trying to block off more or even empty spots too, so that you keep your Vikings usable. Yeah. So that is that's the basic how you play of Ragnarok's. It's definitely kind of a chibi art style that I'm not super in love with.
But it's like we said, it's reminiscent of like Santorini's gods. It's it's different art, right? So it looks different, but it's still reminiscent of that.
For sure. And also similar to Santorini, so Santorini has like the cool raised board. This does as well, only this takes it a step further to where the base of that board is actually like an insert that you put all the pieces into. Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and it actually makes the insert worthwhile. I mean, like the raised part worthwhile versus just a raised part.
Yeah. There are some Greyfox exclusives, which for those of you who aren't familiar, basically these are Kickstarter exclusives that they also might occasionally sell at conventions and stuff.
Or online.
Or online, very, very rarely. I don't often see Greyfox exclusive stuff for sale on their website. But so there's a bunch of cards that are marked as Greyfox exclusives. Also, if you get it through the Kickstarter, the rune stones are going to be like kind of clear acrylic-y looking plastic for the main part of the rune stone. Semi-transparent blue is how they describe them. That looks, I think, a lot cooler than the just general gray retail ones. And then there was one other thing that was exclusive.
You can get the expansion for it too. It looks like.
Yeah, maybe it was just the upgraded stones that I was thinking of. Yeah. Yeah. The art itself, I'm fine with, aside from the chibi. I think it's kind of cool. The board is not perfectly symmetrical, which kind of tweaks my brain a little bit. And I'm not sure, like, it clearly has different regions on it, like mountain and lava and grasslands and stuff, and I'm not sure if any of the different myth cards will affect that. Or if that's just to give the board some presence. The tree insert, like I said, that makes the base of it, is pretty cool. So yeah.
Yeah, it looks like at least a couple of them refer to specific spaces. So.
Okay. They also do have some timed releases. So March 10th, March 12th, March 14th, and March 16th. They have some more stretch goal timed release things that are not really stretch goals, like they're going to be part of the game. They're not announcing what it is yet. Some of them are like art reveals too.
Right, it's like what they did with the well, not them, but Stronghold did with the newest Terraforming Mars thing.
Yes.
So, because I know some people don't like it being tied to the value of stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's Ragnarocks. Go check it out if you want another Santorini-esque game.
Yeah, and you are right. The board kind of does break your brain. It's like a 3-sided triangle, but there's like 3 ends, 4 ends, and 5 ends. So it's sort of like a 9 by 8 by 7.
Yeah,
triangle.
It's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. But it's also on Tabletop Simulator, so you can go play it on there.
Go try it out.
Check it out.
Indeed. Next up on Kickstarter?
Next up on Kickstarter, we have Roll and Play. Very well funded. 135,000 of its near $14,000 goal. Just over 2,900 backers. 2 weeks left to pledge, which you can for $63 dues.
Yeah, so Roll and Play is not a roll and write, despite what the name might suggest, and this being a board gaming show. Rather, this is a character kit for GMs and players for like tabletop role-playing games. And so it's just a big book full of different random tables to help you create unique NPCs or to give more depth to your characters, and works with basically any fantasy role-playing game. So they have stuff like, they show like a set for druids. Like there's 2 pages. One of them has a list of 10 organic weapons, so like it can give some flavor to whatever weapon. Another list of 10 enchanted trinkets and items on that same page. And then on the opposite page, quirks of your wild shape, so that whenever you, whatever animal you change into using your druid's wild shape ability, there's a D20 list of 20 things. You can roll a D20 and be like, this is a quirk that every time I change, whatever I change into has this thing. Like the number 1 on that list has proud antlers growing from each side of its head. So, you know, if you're like a deer or an elk, that makes sense. But like maybe sometimes you turn into a mouse, but you still have mouse antlers because
you're a jackalope now.
Yeah. They have all kinds of stuff like that. Apparel and armor for like barbarians, so things like pelt armor. Lynx furs are wrapped around you, attached with long claws, or your boots and gloves are made from large bear paws. Things like that.
Some of your teeth have been filed into sharp points.
Yeah. They have like a make a proverb section for clerics. That's kind of interesting. It's got like 4 different lists of 10. And you roll a d10 4 times and then combine. So you can get something like the result that they show an example of is, let the torch I hold be a beacon for goodness. Grant us the power to heal grievous wounds. And so it's like, the first one is like, I don't know. It's like 4 different things that smush together to make vaguely coherent sentences. Bunch of cool different stuff in there. It's got 13 different chapters. Divided up into basically the different main broad character classes that are common in fantasy RPGs. They kind of blend some of them together, because obviously like some of them are clearly 5e stuff, and then others are like, hey, you might be playing something that's not Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition and can't call a druid, so maybe you're druids and geomancers, or like artificers and tinkerers, or bards and performers kind of thing. So
what? Is there a 5th edition class that is artificers and tinkerers?
Artificer is a 5th edition class.
Okay.
Everything on the left every single thing on the left, all 13 of those are D&D 5e classes.
Gotcha. Artificer is new to me as a D&D class.
It is relatively new as well. Okay. Leander played one. His Mr. Tiki character in Season 1 of Mile High Dungeon Delvers was a Warforged Artificer.
Okay. I remember Warforged, but I don't remember Artificer.
Yep. So.
They have fancy cover arts that I like the art for, if you want those.
Yep. They have a big chart. So they've got a bunch of different pledges.
I
9.
was trying to figure out which one was the most pledged, and there was like 9 different pledges.
Yeah. And they've got a handy little chart that tells you what you get with each of them. The one thing I don't like is, so there are 6 pledges that get you a PDF version. In all but 2 of them, you have to choose to either get the printer optimized version or the digital view, like full color version. And then several of them don't even have that option. So, like, if you wanted to get the limited edition book and get both, like, there's no other option to get the limited edition book in both PDFs unless you go for the $250 Monarch all-in pledge, which is just like, no. No, thank you.
I think it's because that, like, Magician pledge is also signed. That one that you can't choose, like the printer optimized one that seems weird in the middle there. The $30 Magician one.
Yeah.
It's just also because it's, like, signed, I think, is why you get less options on that one.
But yeah, like, just some of the other ones, like the Adventurer is just the standard book and a few digital things, but no PDF version. Adventurer Plus gets you the PDF options. I don't know, it's just kind of...
It's a lot of options.
All over the place. Yeah. There are a lot of options.
You can pledge however you want to give them your money. They make it easy enough.
I really want Folk Legend, but with both PDFs, is what I want. And they don't have that as an option.
I'm sure they will let you do that at some point.
Probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm totally here for this, especially as somebody who, like, as a DM, like, NPC creation is easily one of my weak spots. So having, like, a handy list of charts and
what if someone wants to talk to this person? What do I do?
Well, I'm good at. I'm good at improving, like, dialogue and stuff. I'm bad with coming up with a character in the first place. So charts are great for that kind of thing for me.
What if they want me over for dinner? What if they completely abandon the main quest story for something random?
Then you're just playing normal D&D, because that is the only thing that ever happens. Yeah.
That looks cool. It
roll
looks
and play.
well designed.
Yeah. Roll and play the fantasy character kit. I'm definitely down for this one.
Next up on Kickstarter, we have Tiny Turbo Cars. Pretty well funded, $84,000 of its $35,000 goal, 1,300 backers, but only about 5 days left to pledge this one, which you can at its most popular pledge of $90. Hey, I heard you like programming games.
Yeah. So this is yet another programming game, only this one seems like it's even more bonkers. Programming games just keep getting pushed further and further into ridiculous. So 2 to 4 players, about 30 minutes. It's a racing game where you are racing like little turbo Hot Wheels cars across your like living room and kitchen. So you make a track using 3 to 4 of the double-sided tiles, which there are 6 track boards in the game. And you pick your cars. They're currently the base game itself. There's more from stretch goals and stuff, but there's 5 race cars to choose from, each with a unique ability. And then you get your sliding puzzle controller. And this is like the shtick for the game. So, you know those like picture puzzle things that's made up of a bunch of sliding squares where like there's one empty one and you got to kind of move things around to get whatever piece you want wherever you want it.
A sliding puzzle, some would call.
A sliding puzzle, yep. That's the controller, and that's how you do the programming. So you have a 4x4 sliding puzzle on like a little controller. It looks like a video game controller with that in the middle. So you'll be using your thumbs, or more likely, I don't know, finding some other way to hold it to wipe those around. But you move the tiles around to get the programming order set. Once you are done, you take a like first, second, third, fourth token. Whoever is the first one done takes the first, and then they get to resolve theirs first, because they were the fastest. So on and so forth. Once everyone's done setting their program, you go into the actual acting out the program phase, and to do that, you're going to act out the 8 tiles in the 2 center rows of your controller. So the top row and the bottom row get ignored, and you go left to right across the second row, and then left to right across the third row, resolving those to move your car across the track. The tracks are full of all kinds of obstacles and things, like
carpet and water.
Yeah. Carpet, which slows you down, water, which affects like how you can move. There's like hard stop blockage things where if you run into them, it does damage, which makes you flip over batteries. And if you ever run out of batteries, then your car dies and you have to do something different to charge it back up.
There's a command on your program that can
recharge batteries and stuff. Yeah. You keep doing that until somebody crosses the finish line, and then at the end of the round where somebody crosses the finish line, whoever crossed the finish line the farthest is the winner. So if you barely get across it, but then somebody else in that same turn blasts like 4 squares past you past the finish line, they're gonna win. So yeah, it looks kind of interesting. I dig programming games. Using that puzzle seems like that's going to be something that's going to be really hectic and really frustrate some players. I can see myself getting really fucking mad at that.
Especially because some people are just better at like those type of things than others.
Like a spatial puzzle, yeah.
Yes. So I could see that, but especially like the fact that you're doing 8, like you said, it's gonna be hard for you to get exactly what you want to do in all of these. So it'll be sort of interesting to just sort of be like, yeah, like I just want to be in that general direction, so this is fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could in theory take as long as you want, since they don't mention a time limit, but then you're going to be the last one to operate, and then it's much more likely that somebody else's car might get in your way.
Exactly, yeah.
and fuck that up. They've got a ton of stretch goals that have been unlocked. Different finish lines, different tiles, different cars with different special abilities, power cards, tokens for things like that. Silk printing. They also have expansions already here that you can get. They got a 5 to 6 player expansion, space team expansion, adventure crew expansion, track boards expansion, all kinds of stuff like that. Mixed into it that you can go for if you're feeling squirrely.
One thing, you can play this on Tabletopia, and you can actually, it looks like, either use a web app or download something to let you do do the controller virtually.
Yeah, there's on their website. There's a remote that you can use for programming.
Neat. So yeah, kind of a different take on programming racing games. That's Tiny Turbo Cars. Go check it out.
Last up on Kickstarter this week, we have So You've Been Eaten. Very well funded, $190,000 of its $10,000 goal, over 4,400 backers, and still about 3 weeks left to pledge this one, which you can at its most popular pledge level of $49.
Yeah. So You've Been Eaten. That works well with my always saying so at the start of things. Is an asymmetric 30-minute game of survival and profit for 0 to 2 interstellar miners / beasts. So essentially, this game is meant to be a 2-player asymmetrical game where one player plays the beast and one player plays the miner. It does also include a hibernating beast if you want to play the miner versus the hibernating beast, which is like an automated beast. Or you can play the beast versus the robot miner, which is an automated miner. Or if for some reason you want to just see what happens when you make the two AI square off against each other, you can put the slumbering beast up against the robot miner. And not actually play, just see what the program says is the winner.
Which I found fun.
I think that is hilarious, especially since they really keep hyping that up as hey, yeah, you can totally do this. Do it. Did you mention
this was Scott Almes of Tiny Epic fame?
Yep. Art by Quanchi Moria, who we've also gushed about numerous times.
I don't remember where I saw this. I think it was maybe a game preview that we skipped on news or something like that I was like, this looks cool.
I think you're right. I think I remember reading about it.
Yeah.
And then we were probably like, it's coming to Kickstarter. We'll talk about it when it hits Kickstarter. And so here we are.
We did it.
Yeah. The objective, if you're playing as the miner, you're trying to get all 8 different crystals that are inside the belly of the beast. If you're the beast, you are trying to digest the miner. And the main way you do that is you get 4 of the same type of bacteria to attack him. Because then that bacteria figures out how to digest him, and he is digested. It is possible that neither of those things happen, in which case the beast shits the miner out completely fine, and you just total up points and see who's the winner based on who has the most points. So, yeah. It seems interesting. The miner is playing basically a game of placing action dice. So he rolls 3 d6s and then assigns them on his player board and then resolves them. Wait the shit down here. Resolves different actions with him, and you can take the same action more than once. Then whatever bacteria he is closest to attacks him. Meanwhile, the beast, they fill the digestive tract up. They get 1 immune response card. Then they draw stomach cards, and then they can play a mutation card that affects their bacteria and stuff. And so yeah. And then there's, like I said, AI, robot-y versions of both the beast and the miner that kind of automate that process. And yeah, seems kind of cool.
And the collector's edition, it's got like triple layered, double-sided boards, acrylic tiles, a dice tower, tuck boxes, the beast die, UV printed. The premium and collectors will come with like acrylic tokens and wooden tokens and like a robot miner token. But the base game is still only $29. That gets you everything that you would want to play the game with. So it seems like it's a pretty good deal too.
Yeah, and even the premium is only $40 and gets you a mini expansion and a bunch of custom wooden and acrylic tokens as well.
Yeah.
Instead of having things for tiles. So, and then hell, that collector's edition's only $49. Damn.
Seems all right.
Seems not shabby.
Once again, the game is available on Tabletop Simulator in its 1-on-1, its Miner solo, and its Beast solo.
No
automated on automated.
Ah, shucks. But yeah, so that's So You've Been Eaten. Go check it out.
And that's it for Kickstarter.
Is indeed it for the lack of news and the Kickstarter. We have no listener feedback this week, so people need to contribute listener feedback, which you can do by sending us emails.
Emails at milehiggameguys.com.
You can find us over on Twitter, where I tune under at MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
I am Jeff_MHGG.
We have our Instagram account at MHGameGuys, which may be that Jeff's assembling a bunch of new minis and stuff. Maybe he'll post some of that on the Insta.
I can compare and contrast Firstborn Marines with these fucking insane, huge Primaris Marines.
We have a Facebook account, facebook.com/MHGameGuys. Our website, milehiggameguys.com, is severely out of date, but you can find all of the good information that used to be on the website over at punchboardmedia.com, along with all of the other awesome content creators who are members of Punchboard Media and all of the awesome stuff that they do. And be sure to join the Slack channel because it's awesome. And you can find a link to that in the show notes on the punchboardmedia.com posts for our episodes. So do that as well. And then every other Tuesday, we are doing D&D streams with Mile High Dungeon Delvers on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/MHGameGuys. And hopefully we are getting very close to being able to get back in the studio, which means I'll actually have to clear this table off because it has become covered in all manner of junk. But we can start actually streaming some board games again, hopefully soon. We're getting closer and closer by the day. Get your vaccines as soon as you can. That's my PSA regarding that. And as always, we would like to take a second to thank our sponsors. Greyfox Games, their latest Kickstarter, Ragnarocks, is up now for you to go pledge. If you'd like to hear about it, go back to the start of the Kickstarter segment on this episode and learn all about this new 2-player asymmetric game from the creator of Santorini. Jeff, do you have a prepared statement for us?
Of course. Greyfox Games, quality games, cleverly crafted. Also, there's only one effective use for nuclear waste: military applications. You see, after chemical reprocessing, they can separate plutonium from the nuclear waste. Nuclear weapons normally use military-grade plutonium-239 as a purity of 93 to 94%. It is made in a special nuclear reactors designed for military applications. On the other hand, the plutonium in spent nuclear fuel only has a purity of about 60%. But that does not mean that spent nuclear fuel cannot be used for military applications.
Good to know.
Sure. I buy it. Right on. That's all for this episode. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. As always, I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm still Zach.
And I'm Firstborn Jeff.
Bye.
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 Punchboard Media,
where we all
bring something
to the table.
Pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.